Hello there, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Tim, and happy Friday. I've got a brand new indie game for you today. It's called Claustrophobia, The Downward Struggle. Claustrophobia is a roguelike game made by Indie Forge. And a roguelike game, for those who don't know, is a genre of game that is probably one of the most fun to play while still having one of the most annoying descriptions possible. Because it actually does that thing where it uses the term in the definition. A roguelike game is a game like Rogue, which was a dungeon crawler put out in 1980 that featured level randomization, permanent death, turn-based movement, ASCII-based graphic style, and you go through and crawl through the dungeon and pick up various gear and potions, and you equip armor and find skills and so on and so forth as you gain levels and going down to eventually fight the boss. And that inspired a whole new genre of game that eventually led to stuff like Castle of the Winds, and some might even say Diablo is part roguelike game. Even though it's not turn-based, it still has all the other aspects of it, and so on and so forth down the line. To this game now, Claustrophobia, that is a self-described love letter to the roguelike game. It's been in development since October of 2012. Build 1.1.0 is the build that I'm currently using. It is in alpha stage, and to borrow a very popular phrase, alpha is alpha. So remember that as we go through. Things that you see might not necessarily be what they started as, nor will they be what they end up as. For example, I'm going to show you here, look at what it looked like in some of the previous iterations. And here's 0.5, I believe. And now we'll see what the game looks like now. So you see it has a basic character creation settings here. You can go through and pick your hair, or beard, as it turns out. Let's see, you've got the Einstein, the Simon from Yogscast, the Bruce Willis, the Seth Rogen, the Vincent from Final Fantasy, and you can also choose your skin color. You can't choose your starting equipment because that's always the same, which is a little annoying, and I'll get to exactly why in a little bit. But you can also change your sex, so you can be female as well. The female ones have some crazy hairstyles, also still bald, still short, or pigtails, or pink, or red, or burgundy, or blonde. And that's pretty much it. So, you know, maybe a little bit more customization in the female options would be nice. Because you got all these nice variety of male looks, but the female looks are all kind of the same except for the one with the pigtails. So, I think I am going to go with Simon on this one. And so here we have Claustrophobia 1.1.0. The biggest changes you can see from the first look that I gave you is that now, instead of having the UI all stacked here on the right side of the screen, it's now all in its appropriate windows, with the health and mana here along the bottom, with the skill bar and your EXP bar, and then you have a toggleable inventory window and equipment window, as well as a toggleable skill menu. And we'll go into how these work here in just a moment. I didn't realize you started with an unspent point. I guess we can go into it now. The skills are basically the way you customize the way you play the game. If you want to play more tanky, then you would look in the strength abilities. Obviously, if you want to play more range with a bow and arrow, you would look here in these agility paths, immolation traps, tipped arrows, so on and so forth. And then if you want to play more mage, then you have various spells that allow you to do that. Now, the one thing that is minorly annoying is that no matter who you are, no matter what you pick, you always start out with a wooden sword. And so, if I were to say, go ahead and spin this point in Firebolt, I have no way of casting it. Oh man, I forgot to put it on the... There we go. That puts it on the bar there. When you click on it and you press its appropriate button on the bar, it actually auto-equips it. So I can even put it in multiple places if I wanted to. But for the sake of now, I guess I can take it out once it's in there. I'll have to put another one in once I get it. But anyway, like I was saying, so I have this fireball spell now, but I cannot use it because I don't have a wand or a staff with which to do so. But as we go through here, okay, here I can show you exactly what I mean. And it actually tells me you can't use that skill with this weapon. And, you know, if I wanted to say got tired of playing as a warrior, then I wanted to try straight off the bat from playing a mage. I really kind of have to hope that I luck out and get a staff within the first couple of, well, first 15 minutes or so, or else there's a good chance that I could be screwed by this. But anyway, that's a minor problem. As you can see here, it moves on a turn-based system. So when I move, the rat follows me in turn. And you can actually see there's a nice little battle dialogue here that tells you exactly what's going on. You can see that I've been poisoned. And it not only does it give you a nicely comical description, but it also tells you the number of turns that it has left. The UI is incredibly clean and easy to understand if you've played any games like this at all. To attack an animal that's close up to you, you just have to click it, right-click it, and you'll see that I've hit it for one. I hit it for 2 physical damage. I was poisoned for 1, and I got 2, and you can see that's reflected down there on the bottom. Eventually, as you work your way through, there you go, kill them nicely. You can smash all these crates and stuff. You move around, and sometimes they'll have items in here, sometimes they won't. It just depends on where you are. But you see there's a nice variety of enemies here. We got these bones, and then the rat we saw a minute ago, a squishy here. All of these are so far level 1 to 3 enemies. I'm not really gonna find as I say that, I'm getting viciously murdered. I'm not really gonna find a huge challenge in this place. But one of the things that is really neat about these first couple of rooms is that not only will you go around and sometimes find traps if you're not careful and just try and travel across great spaces without being able to see what's going on there, but you also pick up crafting materials and alchemy materials and stuff like that. So while it is kind of just running around and wantonly slaying things that get in your way, there is an element of craft and an element of adventure to it. I haven't really been able to delineate whether there is some sort of story going on, because as you saw, once we go straight from the opening screen, it just jumps straight into the game without any sort of explanation, any sort of, here's the setup, any sort of, I mean, in Castle of the Winds, you were this Nordic warrior who ended up getting his village trashed while he went down to prove himself in a cave. And you ended up having to go to the Castle of the Winds to defeat the evil lord who came and razed your village when it happened. It was a very basic storyline, but it was there. And it just gave a nice framework to everything, you know? But you see, I picked up my first item. It was a semi-digested amulet that I found from this chest. And if we go into the crafting station, if I had... There we go. I did. Awesome. Copper bar gives me a common heavy head. Common heavy head is a bleak plate helm, armor 1. I don't have anything on there right now, so 1 armor is better than no armor. And you can actually see it is reflected on your character, which is a nice touch, I will say. Very, very nice touch. But as we continue to move around, you can move pressing the W, A, S, and D keys, or you can move with the mouse and just click on the location you want. Now, one thing that is kind of annoying is you can't go diagonally when pressing the directional buttons. So, like, if I wanted to travel between these 2 candelabras, I can't by using the directional keys. I have to actually click, and I can do diagonal movement that way. I don't know. I don't know how you would really be able to fix that without putting all of the movement keys, say, on the number pad or something, which could then alienate people who don't have a number pad. So I don't really know how you would fix that. But it was a little disconcerting at first, because I couldn't figure out how on earth I was supposed to get past this section that I was clearly supposed to get past. But you might be wondering how I'm recovering health, and if you eat food, nom nom, health is restored each turn, and you can see that also has a turn duration number as well. You'll pick up various other food items. Some heal you more than others. So far I've seen potatoes and grilled chicken, and that was a hunk of meat, a hunk of ham I think it was that I just noshed down the second ago. And you know, so far it is really, it's basic but still fun. As you travel around, there are some enemies that will be sleeping, so you can sneak by them if you're very careful. There are these teleporter panels that will take you to other places around the level. The map is a nice sprawling design, I will say. If you zoom out here, eventually if I don't go down to the next floor, this entire mini-map will be filled up with rooms. And, you know, that's a lot of areas to explore in a place like this. You would expect the maps to not quite be so expansive. They would want you to, instead of building out linearly, would want you to, and dang it, I wish there was a way to disarm traps, but unfortunately there's not. At least not that I've found as of yet. It leads you to wanting to take more discovery and wanting to go around and inspect everywhere before you actually go down to the next place. Let's see, I don't have any armor on the legs that I'm wearing, so lovely. But I picked up my first potion, and potions and scrolls work very interestingly in this game. The effects are all the same throughout each individual game. So every time you're going to have one that's a potion, one that's is a poison, one that sets you on fire and lets you set other people on fire if you run into them. There are a lot that have both positive and negative effects. But each of them are randomized each time you restart the game. So if I were to drink this potion without identifying it first, it will tell me what it does. And then that pink potion will always have that effect until I die in this game. The same with the scrolls. Identify scrolls, summoning scrolls to actually summon monsters right in front of you so you can level up easy. There are some that put the entire dungeon to sleep, put all the monsters in the dungeon to sleep, stuff like that. So there's some neat effects on there, and it's a neat way to keep things fresh every time, because while you might know every effect, you won't know where they come from each time. But there's always some sort of identifying marker for once you have unlocked it the first time. Good example of that is these scrolls. You can kind of look here and see that there is a little symbol just discernible inside of that scroll. And so whenever I pick up a scroll that has that symbol, it will always be an identify scroll. Lovely. I'm glad I didn't just go ahead and try that potion, because that was the potion of burning. It sets me on fire, then lots of fire, and which spreads to other units around me. So I'm really glad I didn't just, try that out. But you see that you'll run along through the dungeon as you go, and picking up all your scrolls and all your items and working your way down. Alchemical station for if you pick up any of these empty potion bottles, and then they have what do they call it? Unidentified sludge, and there are mushrooms around that you can pick up and turn into your various potions. But you'll pick up all these crafting materials as you go through, and you'll explore all the areas. You can see exactly what I'm talking about here. I mean, it is just a mass, expansive floor each time you go down. But as you go through, you gain experience from killing all the monsters, and pick up different items and such. Eventually you'll run along a staircase that'll lead you down to the next area. I'll come back here in just a minute once I feel like I might not get just absolutely slaughtered when I go down there. But for the most part, this game feels very familiar and so very fun. I'm having a good time playing it. It provides a decent enough of a challenge, which if it doesn't for you, there are varying levels of difficulty ranging from easy to impossible, so you'll always find the appropriate difficulty level for you. But there are some problems. There are some, for lack of a better term, missed opportunities, it feels like. And I'm going to go back to some of the old classics when I try and talk about this, because, well, what better place to pull an example from than something that worked in the past. Castle of the Winds had this interesting mechanic where you could, some of the weapons and armor would be unidentified. Ooh, found a store. Lovely. This is a good place to chit-chat for just a minute here. So, Castle of the Winds had this interesting effect where some of the armors would be unidentified as well. And they would have both positive and negative effects to correlate along with whether it was cursed or blessed. And so if you put on an armor that was blessed, all of a sudden it automatically identified for you, so you didn't have to waste an identify scroll, but it gave you all the benefits. But if it was a curse, cursed items could not be removed without going back to town. And usually the cursed items had some sort of detrimental effect that really could screw you over, I don't know, 10, 15 levels after you pick it up, if not way sooner than that. Because those games can be very unforgiving. And it made sort of a good feeling that it wasn't just the monsters that were out to kill you. You know? This game is called Claustrophobia. And yet, the only thing I feel like that's trying to kill me are the monsters. It feels like I'm fighting against them when I should be fighting against this dungeon. I mean, if you're going to throw me in here without much context, then I at least need to have a reason to create the context. I think so anyway. And it just feels like there's a little bit of a missed opportunity. It doesn't take away from the game at all. It doesn't make it less fun to play. It makes it less... Immersive is a bad word in my book. It makes it less impactful than it could be. Because it would be very easy to make this game into some... Hooray for leveling up. It would be very easy to make this game into something that has a little bit more impact, a little bit more depth and drama to it. Give me a reason for being in here, to go all the way down to the bottom. And I'm sure it's there, and I'm sure I just haven't picked it up yet, but how am I going to know that it's there? You know? And it just, like I said, missed opportunity in that area. But this is the store, and from the store, you'll be able to buy a whole bunch of things, including new unidentified potions that allow you another potion to have identified for when you find it later on. Shops tend to be geared, not geared towards gear, because that's a bad phrasing. Shops tend to only have decent gear in them. They try not to give you too many weapons that would not be better than the one that you're currently carrying, because what would be the point of then finding it? So they try and give things that you might need, like health, that also increases my sight radius, nice armors that I might not have found already, as well as some that are cheaper because I haven't been around the block enough to have a whole lot of money yet, that I would be able to afford if I go out and kill a whole bunch more enemies real quick and then just run right back. But it also has some stuff that really makes me want to come back here later when I get $2,100, because, oh man, it'll be really nice to have that 3, 3, and 3. But you go around, you compare stats of various things that you'll pick up, and some will be better than others, and some will have agility stats, some will have stamina stats, some will have intelligence stats, and all of them matter. All of them, average damage dealt by your weapon, increases the damage done by melee weapons, and increases the amount of damage received, increases the amount of damage done by ranged weapons, and increases critical strike chance. So all of these have both your basic effect and increase the mana regeneration, a secondary effect of some type. So you try to want to level up your character and balance him out in a way that matters. But that kind of goes back to my earlier point about not having any sort of way to customize your character better in the beginning. Because it would be really nice to be able to, say, skew your stats in a certain direction if you know off the bat that you want to make a mage character this time. It might not be that bad of an idea to say go ahead and just take your strength all the way down to 1 and put those points in a better allocated spot. Which, again, nitpicky stuff, but that's the purpose of these videos, I find, is to find some of these games and talk about them in a way that's supportive yet critical, because that's the only way that things are going to get better, is if you very nicely, very politely point out some flaws and just say, listen, there are some places that I feel like if you were to tweak 1 or 2 things here, it could be just more effective than originally intended. Unidentified light chest, and of course I don't have any identified scrolls. Terrible. I wonder, does it then identify it for you? Nope, it does not. Darn. Oh well, it was worth a shot, I guess. Let's see. What did that do? Oh, that was a summoning scroll. Okay, so now we know that that scroll is a summoning scroll, and it will always be a summoning scroll until I die. Ah, nuts. Let's get to these stairs. Okay, quickly, let us go in here and increase my armor by 1, because I feel like that's going to be very, very important. So far, you've only seen me fight level 3 stuff, and I've been able to hold my own, ish. So now let's go see what the lower levels have in store, so you can see exactly what will be going on. As you go through, you'll pick up better crafting materials and stuff that you'll be able to use in better ways. Oh, nice. Okay, so the black potion this time was a potion of mana. And now that's a level 6 squishy slime. And I'm being double teamed. That is horrendous. I think you're about to see a death. Oh no! Alright. So that was actually a teleportation scroll. And is a very, very useful thing when you get into a scrape like that, because it instantly teleports you to another place of the dungeon. Originally I was up here in this area, now I'm down here. Safe from harm. Ish. Until I eventually find another monster that's probably going to just viciously murder me. But in the meantime, I will keep talking. Let's see, what was that scroll? Wonderful lullaby, soars through the dungeon. Good, that was one of the sleeping scrolls. But, you know, so there are ways to... Oh, boy. Well, poopy. Now I've led myself to an area where there is no escape from. I don't know whether this was designed this way, because there's clearly no way out for me. I mean, there's no secret walls, which would be really nice if there were, you know, some sort of thing. Oh, you found a secret. Oh, you have a bomb. You can blast your way through this wall. Stuff like that. Something that would keep this from being such a detriment, because I'm gonna have to exit for a minute and go back in, because there's no way out, and there's no teleporting, and I don't have another teleportation scroll, which is horrendous. So we're back in, and this time I've chosen Albert Einstein, and that was rather annoying. Let me quickly get back to an appreciable place here. All right, I found my first staff fairly quickly, but that's what I mean. I mean, you really kind of have to luck out if you at all want to be able to use the spells, because in that whole playthrough, I didn't find a single magical implement at all, and so I was unable to use... I wasted my first skill point, basically. But now I'll be able to show you what it looks like, so it won't be such a waste. Well, bam! It actually sets him on fire for a minute, and that does extra damage also, so that the spells do interesting effects, and if it kind of makes you want to use them as often as you can. It does have a recharge time on it. You see the turn counter down at the bottom. I like that it's as turn-based as you want it to be. If you move quickly enough, it actually doesn't seem very turn-based at all, and plays very, very smoothly. Or if you want to take your time and plan out every action you're going to make, then you can absolutely take your time and be like, okay, if I move to this area, he's going to follow me in this direction. If I move to this area, he's going to follow me into this direction. And it can be as tactical as you need. Oh, crap. And as you notice, you can switch weapons on the fly. So if you happen to have a staff, and then an enemy comes in too close to you to be able to really do damage with the staff, then guess what? You can just switch over to your sword and be able to do good damage that way. Like so. And so, it's as I was saying, it's nice, it's a great game, it's a lot of fun, but it just feels like it's missing a couple of opportunities that would take this game from being just decent to really excelling and really being something special. But thankfully, it is still an alpha, so there is still a chance that you know, if this game gets enough word out and the developers realize there's realizes there's enough of a call for it, and realizes that there are some tweaks that can be, should be, will be made, I think this game could be really amazing, and definitely something to waste a lot of hours on. Let's go. I'm trying to get to a decent place. here. Oh, man. This is going to be really bad. Yep, there it is. And there's the game over screen, ladies and gentlemen. I think this is as good a place as any to call it. Thank you so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed this look at Claustrophobia, the Downward Struggle. It was a heck of a lot of fun for me to play, but I hate that it's so random in nature, because that doesn't let me show you all the depth that there really is to this game. And no, that's not a play on the fact that it is a dungeon dissension game. But as I said in the beginning of this video, alpha is alpha, so there is a chance that some change might come to the game that I want to show you. So who knows, there might be a second video on it at some point. But in the meantime, I highly recommend you go and pick it up. The alpha is available for purchase on Desura and is also on Steam Greenlight, and you can also go to the developer blog, which I'll put a link to down in the description. Thank you so much for watching, ladies and gentlemen. You can find me at Tim Tries on Twitter if you just want the video releases, at Tim Leftwich if you want to hear me ramble on about stuff. And as always, we'll see you next time.